Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the eClaims August webinar. My name is Anthony Contento, and I'm the Program Manager for the eClaims unit. Joining me today is Mike Hunter, who is a Project Coordinator within the eClaims unit. So as you can see on the agenda, we're going to go over the recent updates for version 3.1. We're also going to go over the most frequent errors returned within the past 90 days or so. We're also going to highlight the new edits that will be coming effective on September 15th and December 15th of this year. We'll also go over any future updates for version 3.1. And finally, with the time that we have left, we will go over any questions and answer them as much as possible. So on to the recent updates. So we wanted to point you to the changelog with updates that were published in June of this year. It's mainly highlighting some clerical changes as well as some relaxation of some edits. As a reminder, for item changelog number 327, we are now including the first DN that triggered an error message on DN 0031064. And if you notice for item number 330, we also relaxed part of the body to allow multiple head and multiple neck codes to be issued without the maximum needed. For item 334, while this is a clerical edit, it will now allow you to modify the employee's ID assigned by the jurisdiction. And I want you to please visit the board's website to review the full changelog and all of the items within. Now we're going to be updating the PR for H&L, as well as documentation of the board's website to now take into account if the denial is still in effect or not. Now the change is bolded on the slide that you currently see, unless denial is still in effect. In slide 6, this is a continuation of H&L being relaxed. And as you see noted, these were both relaxed on July 28th of this year. I'm going to go over the chart of DNs that were triggered on a note 2. And the New York State reference document is posted on the board's website on the link that you can see here. Now, it was updated on June 22nd of this year, and it was to match the changes published on the element requirement table, which will be effective on December 15th. And it's specifically changelog items 323 through 325, which is stating DN 0031, which is date of injury, will be I to J, update. DN 0146, which is a death result of injury code, and DN 0290, which is type of loss code, from I to K, add, update, or remove. Also, DN 0204, which is the work week type code, and DN 0205, which is a workday scheduled code, from K to J, add, update, or remove. And I also want to note that the abbreviation key has been updated to add J, which is required change on Troy if accepted, otherwise change on Freud. Now, I wanted to point out something that the board recently discovered a population restriction that was not properly coded for the launch of 3.1 back on January 24th. And it was also published on the original edit matrix back on March 12th of 2020. Transactions were inadvertently allowed to be accepted when a different DN 0418, the suspension region code full, other than SJ, was reported on any claim where Section 21A had been applied. Those edits should have been rejected, and unfortunately, they were accepted. Now, effective on July 28th, the edit was implemented, and an email blast was sent to all contacts listed in the trading partner profiles, notifying them of such. Now, there's a link on the board's website that will go over the process of Section 21A, and it's listed here. Now, one more thing that I wanted to bring about, and this is based on trading partner feedback. The element error text was modified on August 11th based on your feedback to replace must be SJ since Section 21A ceased with must be SJ since payments were made under Section 21A. So I thank you for that input and feedback. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Tony. I'm going to go over the most frequent errors returned during the past 90 days. The first and top error is actually a carryover from Release 3.0. This edit is a population restriction for DN 85, and it's DN 85-064A is specifically the population restriction. And this is intended to stop new benefit type codes from being introduced as sweeps before an event or URSA included that benefit type code based on the IAIABC Claims EDI Section 4 rules. As you can see on the screen, the actual population restriction is posted there and can be found on the edit matrix. And again, this is a carryover from Release 3.0 and is not a new edit for 3.1. The second most common error is also a carryover from Release 3.0 and was intended to force the reporting of number of permanent impairments when a benefit type code indicated permanent disability. This population restriction on DN 78, number of permanent impairments, states that if the element requirement table requires DN 83 for this MTC, then DN 78, number of permanent impairments, must not be 0. This is for any of the benefit type codes in New York that are related to a permanent impairment. Those include 020, 030, 040, 090, 530, 540, and 590. And again, this is a carryover from Release 3.0 and is not a new edit to 3.1. The third most common error during the last 90 days is related to a 3.1 population restriction. This one is specific to part of body injured code. And in this case here, it has to do actually with the reporting of those body parts, and more specifically left, right, and bilateral. We're actually rejecting quite a few where folks are reporting duplicate body parts. So for example, if you're reporting knee and the claimant injured the left and the right knee, we would expect bilateral in that case to be reported. So just keep in mind as you're reporting those that if that claimant has injured both, it should be bilateral, because again, this is actually our third highest error in the last 90 days here in New York. If anyone has questions about any of the part of body edits, again, you're always encouraged to reach out to the eClaims team, and we are happy to help in any way we can. We will now review the new edits effective September 15, 2022, as well as December 15, 2022. The following edits were posted back in March, on March 15th, with 6 months notice provided in accordance with the IAIABC standard. These three edits are changelog items 304, 311, and 312. Each of them will be implemented on September 15th. Just to give you an example, for edit changelog item 304, there was a typo in the population restriction that needed to be corrected. For changelog item 311, The other population restrictions for DN 85064 were removed, and so we just re-lettered the other population restrictions. And for changelog item 312, we added a population restriction to prevent DN 75 from being W if the benefit payment issue date is now greater than 365 days in the past. This was something from 3.0 that we need to implement and edit to enforce our previous posting about agreement to compensate code. We also have some new edits that are effective December 15th of this year. We posted those with 6 months notice. We published on June 22nd of this year on our changelog. For example, changelog item 323, date of injury. We modified the 402 and 302 reportable change codes for the update from I to J. For 324 and 325, we also modified the reportable change codes, in this case for add, update, and remove for each of those respectively. For changelog item 328, data injury, the reportable change code was changed to J. You can also cross-reference with changelog ID 323 for the O2 update. Required change by transaction type, change on Troy if accepted, otherwise change on Freud. For changelog item 329, that was for date of injury, and we just relaxed the population restriction for that one. For changelog item 333, that's for death result of injury code, and again, we modified that just to be more clear. For changelog items 335 through 337, we again modified population restrictions to use 335 as an example. We modified the reportable change code and changed it to J.
All right, thank you, Mike. So now just in regard to future updates, we currently don't have any at this time. However, we do encourage you to reach out to eClaims via eClaims@wcb.ny.gov with any suggestions, updates, et cetera, to 3.1 and population restrictions, et cetera. We value your feedback, and we try to incorporate those things when appropriate. So right now we're going to take some questions from you. If you haven't already, please submit those questions via the chat feature so that we may review them as they come in. There was going to be some brief periods of silence while we take a look at them, and we're going to start reviewing those questions now. Thank you.
We had a question regarding changelog item 336. So we will just go over that again real quick. For type of loss code, it's now if DN 290 type of loss code is traumatic injury or is not present, and number of days worked per week is a value other than 5, so a non-standard work week, and data injury is on or after 3/1/14, and claim type code is indemnity or became lost time, and workweek type code is blank or null, then the workweek type code must be included in the change variable segment and must have a value. If a SHROI has been accepted, then submit the SHROI first with DN 204 having a value. So that's just stating that we would expect a SHROI 02 in that instance, since you've already submitted a SHROI at that point. Not seeing any other questions, I'm going to turn it back over to Tony.
All right, thank you. I just want to thank everyone for attending today's session. And please, as you can see on the screen, stay involved with us, stay informed. Visit the eClaims webpage at wcb.ny.gov eClaims.ny.gov for eClaims news, engagement opportunities, as well as to register for email updates if you haven't done so already. And if you have any Claims EDI questions, please feel free to email eClaims@wcb.ny.gov. That's eClaims@wcb.ny.gov. And if you happen to review this webinar once it gets posted to the board's website and you come up with other questions regarding it, please feel free to send those questions to eClaims, and someone from the eClaims staff will be able to get back to you. So with that, again, thank you again for attending today's session. Please feel free to reach out to us whenever you have any questions, concerns, suggestions. We greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a pleasant afternoon.